皆さん、言語ジャパニーズへようこそ。Welcome to Gengo Japanese.
In the last lesson, we learned this phrase,
ようこそ。
welcome. You also learned the usage of the verb to go.
行きます。
For example,
駅に行きます。
to go to the station. In this lesson, you'll learn more formal and informal speech.
Right. You reviewed the most formal verbs and the dictionary formal verbs that were covered in the previous lesson.
We'll also review how to introduce yourself. This conversation takes place at
歓迎会。
a welcome party. If you remember in the last lesson, Ashley's schedule was
7時に横浜駅に行く。歓迎会。
go to Yokohama Station at 7. So it looks like they're having a welcome party for Ashley near Yokohama Station.
はい。
Now, the setting of this conversation is a little complicated, so just bear with us. First, Mr. Matsuda introduces Ashley to the other employees, and he asks Ashley to give a speech in front of everyone.
In the next part, Ashley is talking with Daisuke Honda. Do you remember him?
This is the guy Ashley was talking to on Skype in lesson 1, right?
そうです。Right.
Okay, what about the formality level?
It's mixed. You'll hear formal and informal Japanese.
Now, warning, before you listen to this lesson, we strongly recommend that you reference the verb conjugation and adjective conjugation lessons.
Minasan, お疲れ様です。こちらはニューヨーク支社のアシュリー・ジョーンズさん。じゃあ、アシュリーさん、自己紹介と乾杯をお願いしますね。
え？日本語で？
ええ、もちろん日本語で。
皆さん、こんばんは。はじめまして。私の名前はアシュリー・ジョーンズです。アメリカ人です。出身はニューヨークのロングアイランドです。日本語は、ちょっとわかります。でも、まだ上手じゃありません。
上手だよ。
でも、英語はとても上手です。
当然だよ。
皆さん、よろしくお願いします。じゃあ、乾杯！
乾杯！
アシュリーさん、久しぶり、元気？
元気じゃない。嘘。本田くんは元気？
元気。あ、アシュリーさん、ビールがないですね。何飲みます？
おすすめは？
One time slowly.
皆さん、お疲れ様です。こちらはニューヨーク支社のアシュリー・ジョーンズさん。じゃあ、アシュリーさん、自己紹介と乾杯をお願いしますね。
日本語で。
ええ、もちろん、日本語で。
皆さん、こんばんは。はじめまして。私の名前はアシュリー・ジョーンズです。アメリカ人です。出身はニューヨークのロングアイランドです。日本語はちょっとわかります。でもまだ上手じゃありません。
上手だよ。
でも英語はとても上手です。
当然だよ。
皆さん、よろしくお願いします。じゃ、乾杯。
乾杯。
アシュリーさん、久しぶり、元気？
元気じゃない。嘘。本田くん は、元気。
元気元気。あ、アシュリーさん、ビールがないですね。何飲みます？
おすすめは？
Now with the English translation.
皆さん、お疲れ様です。
Good work today, everyone.
こちらはニューヨーク支社のアシュリー・ジョーンズさん。
This is Ashley Jones from the New York office.
じゃあ、アシュリーさん、自己紹介と乾杯をお願いしますね。
Ashley, could you introduce yourself and make a toast?
え？日本語で？
Huh? In Japanese?
ええ、もちろん日本語で。
Yes, of course in Japanese.
皆さん、こんばんは。はじめまして。
Good evening, everyone. Nice to meet you.
私の名前はアシュリー・ジョーンズです。
My name is Ashley Jones.
アメリカ人です。
I'm American.
出身はニューヨークのロングアイランドです。
I'm from Long Island in New York.
日本語は、ちょっとわかります。
I understand a little Japanese,
でも、まだ上手じゃありません。
but I'm not good at it yet.
上手だよ。
Yes, you are.
でも、英語はとても上手です。
But I'm very good at English.
当然だよ。
Well, of course you are.
皆さん、よろしくお願いします。
I look forward to working with you all.
じゃあ、乾杯！
Cheers!
乾杯！
Cheers!
アシュリーさん、久しぶり、元気？
Ashley-san, long time no see. How are you?
元気じゃない。
Not good.
嘘。
Just kidding.
本田くんは元気？
How are you, Honda-kun?
元気元気。
I'm great.
アシュリーさん、ビールがないですね。
Oh, you don't have any beer, do you?
何飲みます？
What will you have to drink?
おすすめは？
What do you recommend?
Naomi-sensei.
はい。
This is a really great conversation. There are many reasons, but a lot of times you will be asked to introduce yourself in front of people in Japan. And I think if you have a couple of these phrases, you're going to do very, very well. The first one I want to look at, Ashley said, 日本語はちょっとわかります。
はい。
I understand a little bit of Japanese. でも、まだ上手じゃありません. But I'm not that good yet. And I think this statement says a lot about her understanding of Japanese and the culture. Because this is a complicated yet modest expression. And I think it really illustrates how Japanese feel.
そうですね。I think Ashley's Japanese is higher than ちょっとわかります。I understand a little level. And I'm pretty sure Ashley is just being humble, or I should say she's being polite. In Japanese society, when people want to be formal, they often act humble or, as you said, modest. Do you do that in English too?
I think it depends on the person. Me, I prefer this approach. And I think this response is a lot better than my Japanese is good. Feel free to talk to me. Saying something along those lines could be misinterpreted both culturally and linguistically. Speaking about yourself humbly will go a long way in building kind of social capital with the Japanese people you meet. Really good for building rapport.
そうですね。I kind of liked the way Mr. Suzuki encouraged her after she said, 上手じゃありません.
I'm not good yet at all. What did he say?
Mr. Suzuki said, 上手だよ.
Yes, you are, with a lot of emphasis.
そうですね。
Also, Ashley said, でも、英語は上手です. But I'm very good at English. And to that comment, Mr. Suzuki said,
当然だよ.
which is, of course you are. We know that. And I think the situation is a bit different, right? The business day's over. They're at a party. It's a much more relaxed atmosphere. It was a very nice icebreaker. Okay, on to the vocabulary. First word.
皆さん、
Everyone.
み、な、さ、ん。皆さん、
Next.
自己紹介、
Self-introduction.
自己、しょ、う、か、い。自己紹介、
Next.
乾杯。
Cheers.
か、ん、ぱ、い。乾杯。
Next.
とても、
Very.
と、て、も、とても、
Next.
おすすめ、
Recommendation.
お、す、す、め、おすすめ。
Let's have a closer look at the usage for some of the words and phrases from this lesson. Naomi-sensei, what's the first phrase we're going to look at?
お疲れ様です。
Now, this is a phrase you need to know for work situations. This phrase is super useful.
はい。
It can be used as hello, thank you, or goodbye in the office. Naomi-sensei, what's the meaning?
Well, 疲れ means tiredness, fatigue. So it's like you must be exhausted by or I appreciate your hard work. But direct translation doesn't really help. So I recommend that you memorize this as a set phrase.
So you can use it for someone who's been hard at work that day, when you meet someone in the elevator, when you come back to the office, when you leave the office. It's a phrase you'll hear so many times throughout the day in an office.
そうですね. But we use this phrase to someone who is working or who has been working for a while. So I wouldn't say お疲れ様です in the morning or to someone who just came back from lunch. Because, you know, they are not tired yet.
During working hours.
はい、そうです.
The next phrase is
乾杯.
cheers. There's something very interesting about this word. Naomi-sensei, let's look at the two kanji that make up this word. Now, the first kanji means,
Dry.
the second kanji means,
Glass.
so literally, kanpai means dry glass. And to get a dry glass, you have to empty it, right?
はい、そうです.
So it means drink up or bottoms up, to the bottom.
And that is the literal meaning. Of course, it doesn't mean that you have to finish your drink. Sometimes people prolong the pa sound and say 乾杯.
Next, let's introduce two words which have the same meaning.
もちろん and 当然.
Both mean of course. Now, in the dialogue, Mr. Matsuda said,
もちろん日本語で.
of course, in Japanese.
Since もちろん and 当然 have the same meaning, Mr. Matsuda could have said 当然日本語で. Of course in Japanese.
The next word we'll look at is
嘘
lie. We've already learned the word for truth or really in lesson 12. That word is
本当 嘘 and 本当 are often used as interjections, especially in informal conversation. 嘘
that can't be true.
本当
Really? This word also has another meaning. You can use it as just kidding, like just joking with you. When you want to say just kidding, you say
嘘
or.
嘘です
So meaning it's a lie or I lied or just kidding. Just like Ashley did in the dialogue.
Right. She said 嘘嘘 after she said the joke.
So I'm not doing well. Kidding. Joking. That's the type of thing.
はい
Okay, the next useful phrase we have is
おすすめは
literally. Any recommendations? Of course, what is inferred. So it means, what's your recommendation? Or what do you recommend?
The original sentence would be おすすめは何ですか
What's your recommendation? Let's break it down.
おすすめ
Recommendation,
は
topic marking particle.
何
What
です
is,
か
question marking particle. Recommendation, what is? What's your recommendation?
So where do we use this phrase?
I tend to use it at restaurants or izakaya.
Japanese bars?
And finally, let's quickly review how Ashley introduced herself in the speech. She said,
皆さんこんばんは。はじめまして。
hello everyone, good evening, nice to meet you.
私の名前はアシュリー・ジョーンズです。
My name is Ashley Jones.
アメリカ人です。
How to say one's nationality is covered in lesson 7. Then she said,
出身はニューヨークのロングアイランドです。
my hometown is Long Island, New York. This sentence structure is covered in lesson 3. On to the grammar point. In this lesson, you'll learn basic sentence structure using nouns and adjectives.
You'll also learn more about formal and informal speech.
First of all, let's explain the difference between formal and informal speech. As we explained in lesson 1, there are basically 3 levels of formality in Japanese.
Informal, formal, and honorific.
Informal is used among friends in casual situations. Formal is used when you talk to strangers, coworkers who are not very close to you, or people who have higher social status than you. So most of the time, it's informal and formal. However, there are times when you or the person who's speaking to you wants to be even more formal. For example, when you're talking to a very important client or a person who you're supposed to be very respectful to. In that case, you would use Naomi-sensei?
Honorific Japanese. But as a beginner, knowing formal and informal speech is enough.
Okay, next let's learn the basic sentence structure using nouns. Naomi-sensei. First, what's a noun?
A noun is a person, place, or thing, like コーヒ
Coffee,
ー、お茶、
tea,
日本
Japan,
or 学生。
student. How do you say Ashley is a student using formal speech?
アシュリーは学生です。
As for Ashley, she's a student. Ashley is a student. Now, how do you say the exact same sentence using informal speech?
アシュリーは学生だ。
Ashley is a student. Notice how the formal copula des becomes da using informal speech. As we learned in lesson 5, da is the copula used in informal situations, while des is used in formal situations. So the meaning is exactly the same, only the politeness level is different.
Okay, next, let's learn how to create negative sentences.
How about the informal negative sentence? Ashley isn't a student.
アシュリーは学生じゃない。
Da becomes janai in negative speech. How about Ashley isn't a student using formal speech?
アシュリーは学生じゃないです。
Janai plus des. You simply tack on des after janai, the negative form of da, to make it formal. In this case, des is only to increase the politeness level. Naomi-sensei, can you say those sentences again? Ashley is a student using informal speech.
アシュリーは学生だ。
Informal copula da. How about Ashley is a student using formal speech?
Okay, you change だ to です。So, アシュリーは学生です。
Okay, on to negative sentences. Ashley isn't a student using informal speech.
アシュリーは学生じゃない。
How about Ashley isn't a student using formal speech?
Simply add です to it. So, アシュリーは学生じゃないです。
Here, des, the final des, is increasing the politeness level. It has no grammatical function here. Now, Naomi-sensei, there's also another polite way that we can say Ashley isn't a student, right?
Right. Which is, アシュリーは学生じゃありません。
Ashley is not a student. There's a detailed write-up in the lesson notes. Be sure to check it out. Now let's look at sentences that contain adjectives.
Adjectives are words that describe things.
For example, delicious. If we say a delicious cookie, the word delicious is describing the cookie. Delicious is an adjective, and the cookie is a noun.
And there are two types of adjectives in Japanese.
Right, adjectives that end in e and adjectives that end in na. From now on, we'll refer to them as e adjectives and na adjectives. How you distinguish the two is explained in Conjugation Lesson 2 about adjectives. So be sure to check out that conjugation lesson.
In this lesson, you'll learn about na adjectives.
Naomi-sensei, can we have a na adjective?
Sure. 元気
Healthy, full of energy. Now, for na adjective sentences, the sentence structure is the same as noun sentences. So, the sentence, Ashley is full of energy, using informal speech is?
アシュリーは元気だ。
How about Ashley is full of energy, using formal speech?
アシュリーは元気です。
Da becomes des for formal speech. The negative sentence, Ashley is not full of energy, using informal speech is?
アシュリーは元気じゃない。
How about using formal speech?
アシュリーは元気じゃないです。
Remember, the final des here is only there to increase the politeness level.
Or of course, you can say アシュリーは元気じゃありません。
Okay, next we'll introduce the informal form of a verb and the formal form of a verb. In the last lesson, we briefly introduced the concept of dictionary form, informal, and the mas stem, formal, of verbs. We did this by using iku, to go, informal, and ikimasu, to go, formal, as the example. The conjugation of the must form to the dictionary form is covered in Conjugation Lesson 5, so please make sure to reference that.
Now there are 3 types of verbs in Japanese. Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3.
The verbs which have a sound from the I column right before the must are called Class 1. To change those verbs to the dictionary form, drop the must ending and you get the must stem. Change the final I syllable to the corresponding U syllable. For example,
あります
to exist, drop the must to get.
あり
This is the must stem. Now change the final I syllable, which is
り
to the corresponding U column, which is
る
so ari becomes
ある
aru is the dictionary form of.
あります
Let's try another verb. How do you say to drink?
飲みます
Drop the must and get the must stem.
飲み
Change the I syllable
み
to the U syllable.
む
So the dictionary form of the verb to drink is,
飲む
and the must form is.
飲みます
The last example is the verb to go.
行きます
The must stem is.
行き
Replace the I syllable with the corresponding U syllable.
So 行き becomes 行く
So the dictionary form of to go is,
行く
and the must form is.
行きます
Okay, let's recap with a quiz. The quiz will be multiple choice. We'll give you a question and 3 possible answers. Your job is to guess the answer. First question. Which of the following phrases can be used as hello, thank you, or goodbye at the office? A,
お疲れ様です
B,
久しぶり
C.
ちょっと
The answer is
A お疲れ様です
hisashiburi is it's been a long time. And chotto means a little. Okay, next question. How do you say cheers in Japanese? A,
もちろん
B,
乾杯
C.
当然
The answer is
B 乾杯
both mochiron and touzen mean of course. This concludes this lesson. In the next lesson, Ashley is going to meet a new person. And you'll learn how to say you like something.
じゃあまた
Listen to the entire conversation once again.
皆さん、お疲れ様です。こちらはニューヨーク支社のアシュリー・ジョーンズさん。じゃあ、アシュリーさん、自己紹介と乾杯をお願いしますね。
え？日本語で？
ええ、もちろん日本語で。
皆さん、こんばんは。はじめまして。私の名前はアシュリー・ジョーンズです。アメリカ人です。出身はニューヨークのロングアイランドです。日本語は、ちょっとわかります。でも、まだ上手じゃありません。
上手だよ。
でも、英語はとても上手です。
当然だよ。
皆さん、よろしくお願いします。じゃあ、乾杯！
乾杯！
アシュリーさん、久しぶり、元気？
元気じゃない。嘘。本田くんは元気？
元気元気。あ、アシュリーさん、ビールがないですね。何飲みます？
おすすめは？
Practice with the review track.
皆さん、
Everyone.
み、な、さ、ん。皆さん。自己紹介、
Self-introduction.
自、こ、しょ、う、か、い。自己紹介。乾杯、
Cheers.
か、ん、ぱ、い。乾杯。もちろん、
Of course.
もちろん。もちろん。こんばんは。
Good evening.
こんばんは。こんばんは。まだ。
Yet.
まだ。まだ。俺。
I, used by males.
おれ。俺。
Very.
とても。とても。とても。
Natural. Of course.
当然。とうぜん。当然。
Lie. Falsehood.
嘘。うそ。嘘。
Recommendation.
おすすめ。おすすめ。おすすめ。
Beer.
ビール。ビール。ビール。
To drink. Mas form.
飲みます。のみます。飲みます。
Lesson 16.
In the previous lesson, we learned about informal and formal speech.
Right. For example, in a formal situation, you say, アシュリーは学生じゃありません。
Ashley is not a student.
But in an informal situation, we say, アシュリーは学生じゃない。
Ashley is not a student. It's the exact same sentence, but the level of formality is different. In this lesson, you'll learn the usage of adjectives, and you'll also learn how to say that you like something.
You can also review informal and formal speech in this lesson.
This lesson's conversation takes place at
アシュリーさんの歓迎会。A welcome party for Ashley.
This lesson's conversation is a continuation from the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, Ashley and Daisuke Honda were talking about drinks, and Ashley asked Daisuke,
おすすめは?
what do you recommend? The conversation is between
The first part is between Ashley and Daisuke Honda.
and in the second part, a new character named
鈴木すばる。
Subaru Suzuki joined their conversation. The level of formality of this conversation is
Mixed. So you'll hear formal and informal Japanese.
Before we listen to the conversation, we recommend that you reference conjugation lesson number 3 about adjectives.
難しい質問ですね。何が好きですか？甘いお酒が好きですか？
甘いカクテルは好きじゃないです。
じゃあ日本酒は？
任せます。
はいどうぞ。
綺麗なカップ。
ああ、それはおチョコ。
おチョコ変な名前。
ねえねえ、アシュリーちゃんは花火が好き？
花火は何ですか？
ヒュードドンパ
英語でファイアワークだね。
ッそうそう、ファイヤーワーク、ファイヤーワーク。
好きです。大好きです。
本当？明日の夜暇？
One time slowly.
難しい質問ですね。何が好きですか？甘いお酒が好きですか？
甘いカクテルは好きじゃないです。
じゃあ日本酒は？
任せます。
はい、どうぞ。
うわー、きれいなカップ。
ああ、それはおちょこ。
おちょこ。変な名前。
ねえねえ、アシュリーちゃんは花火が好き？
花火は何ですか？
ヒュー、ドドン、パ。
英語でファイヤーワークだね。
そうそう。ファイヤーワーク、ファイヤーワーク。
ああ、好きです。大好きです。
本当？明日の夜、暇？
Now with the English translation.
難しい質問ですね。
Well, that's a tough question.
何が好きですか？
What do you like?
甘いお酒が好きですか？
Do you like sweet alcohol?
甘いカクテルは好きじゃないです。
No, I don't like sweet alcohol.
じゃあ日本酒は？
Okay, how about Japanese sake?
任せます。
I'll leave it up to you.
はいどうぞ。
Here you go.
うわー、きれいなカップ。
Wow, what a pretty cup.
ああ、それはおちょこ。
Oh, that's an ochoko.
おちょこ変な名前。
Ochoko? That's a weird name.
ねえねえ、アシュリーちゃんは花火が好き？
Hey, Ashley, do you like hanabi?
花火は何ですか？
What's hanabi?
ヒュー、ドドン、パ。
Phew, bang.
英語でファイヤーワークだね。
Fireworks in English.
そうそう。ファイヤーワーク、ファイヤーワーク。
Yeah, fireworks, fireworks.
ああ、好きです。大好きです。
Yes, I like them. I really like them.
本当？明日の夜、暇？
Really? Are you free tomorrow night?
Naomi Sensei,
はい。
do you like sake?
Well, what do you mean? Do you mean alcohol in general or Japanese rice wine?
Ah, good point. In English, we say sake. Of course, we're referring to sake. It refers to Japanese rice wine. But in Japanese, sake means alcohol in general, right?
そうです。日本酒 is Japanese rice wine. Sake means alcohol, but we often say osake.
Put the polite prefix o in front of sake. So, Naomi Sensei, do you like alcohol or osake ga suki desu ka?
I don't mind drinking it, but I don't really like osake. Peter さんは? How about you, Peter?
そうですね。生ビールが好きです。I like draft beer or tap beer.
生ビール draft beer ですね。
Right. 生ビール is draft beer or on tap. 生 means raw, fresh, or uncooked. But when talking about beer, it means
draft
ビール is beer.
はい。long vowel
Very important. Without the long vowel, it becomes
ビル building In order to order draft beer, you can say 生ビールください or just say 生ください。
good point. When I order, it's usually just nama and the number.
I see.
For example, 生2つ.
To draft beer?
Yep.
生ビールは美味しいですよね。
美味しいですよ. It's very delicious. Interesting though, it's very good, especially in the summer.
そうですね。And speaking of summer, a lot of 花火大会 are held during summer.
花火大会 is a fireworks show or event.
花火 is firework. 花 means flower and 火 or 火 means fire.
Literally, fire flower.
So, isn't it cute?
Very interesting word. Because sometimes when they explode, they kind of do look like flowers.
そうですね。 And there's also a famous movie called Hanabi, directed by Takeshi Kitano.
Right. Didn't that movie get the highest prize at the Biennale Venice Festival?
そうですね。It received the highest award at the festival in 1997. 1997年.
Okay, and one disclaimer about our conversation. Now, if you didn't enjoy the conversation about alcohol, just please note that alcohol is a pretty important part of Japanese society, especially business.
そうですね。
So many times when people go out in a business situation, there is alcohol involved. But it is okay to pass on alcohol.
そうですね。If you can't take any alcohol, you can just say お酒ダメです。
Alcohol is no good. Or I don't drink alcohol. Okay, on to the vocabulary. First word.
難し
Difficult.
い。難しい。難しい。
Next.
何
What?
何何
Next.
変
Strange. Odd. Eccentric.
変変
Next.
花火
Fireworks.
花火花火
Next.
任せます
To leave to someone. To entrust someone with something.
任せます任せます
Let's have a closer look at the usage for some of the words and phrases from this lesson. Naomi-sensei, what's the first word we'll look at?
甘い。
Sweet. In the lesson notes, there's a vocabulary list with words related to flavor. So make sure to check this out. Let's look at some words from the chart. Naomi-sensei, how do you say salty?
しょっぱい。
Break it down.
しょっぱい。しょっぱい。
How about spicy?
辛い。
Break it down.
辛い。辛い。
What's the next word?
カクテル。
Cocktail. In the conversation, Ashley said that she doesn't like
甘いカクテル。
or sweet cocktails. But all cocktails are sweet, right?
Not all. 例えば、for example, ブラッディメアリーはしょっぱいですよ。
Ah. Bloody Marys are salty. すいません. Sorry, you're right. Next word.
質問。
Question. In All About Japanese Series Lesson 12, we introduced the phrase,
質問ありますか？
Do you have any questions?
If you do have a question, your answer would be はい、あります。
Yes, I do. If not,
いいえ、ありません。
no, I don't.
Or you can say 大丈夫です。
I'm okay. In the previous lesson, we learned the dictionary form of
あります。
is.
ある。
So let's try to say, do you have any questions in informal Japanese? Arimasu becomes ある. So we say,
質問ある？
do you have any questions? The next word is,
任せます。
I'll leave it to you.
And 任せる is a dictionary form of 任せます。
So it's to entrust a task to someone, to leave to. It's extremely, extremely useful, especially if you're coming to Japan and people are going to be showing you around. Very useful. For example, say we're out to eat. Naomi-sensei might say,
What are you going to have?
if I'm not sure, or if I trust Naomi-sensei enough, makaseru. I'll leave it to you, meaning she'll choose for both of us. For example, if you're having ice cream, Naomi-sensei, which flavor?
あ、任せます。
I'll leave it to you. On to the grammar section. In this lesson, you learn two things. First, you learn about e and na adjectives. Next, you'll learn how to talk about things you like using the word.
好き。
Okay, let's get started.
As we learned in the last lesson, in Japanese, there are two kinds of adjectives. E adjectives and na adjectives.
Can we have some e adjectives?
Actually, we've already learned a lot of e adjectives, such as 甘い、
Sweet,
難しい、
difficult,
美味しい、
delicious,
熱い、
hot,
すごい。
great. These are all dictionary forms of e adjectives. And please note that each of the words ends in the e syllable. Naomi-sensei, what's the other type of adjective?
That's na adjectives. And we have some na adjectives in this lesson, such as 変、
Strange,
綺麗、
beautiful,
暇、
free,
好き。
likable. Actually, the endings of the dictionary form of na adjectives are random. The reason they're called na adjectives is because of how they're used when placed before a noun. When using a na adjective before a noun, we need
な
between the adjective and the noun. I think the best way to illustrate this is with an example.
そうですね。Right. Strange is 変。Name is 名前。But strange name is not 変名前。But it's 変な名前。
You need to insert na between the adjective and the noun. How would you say a free day?
Free is 暇。Day is 日。So, free day would be 暇な日。
How do you say favorite alcohol or alcohol you like?
Favorite or likable is 好き and alcohol is お酒。So, 好きなお酒。
When an e adjective comes before a noun, it's pretty easy. You just take the e adjective and place it before the noun. That's it.
はい。
For example, sweet alcohol.
Sweet is 甘い。Alcohol is お酒。So, 甘いお酒。
Sweet alcohol. With e adjectives, we just put it before the noun, just like in English. No need to add any sound. How do you say hot day?
Hot is 暑い。Day is 日。So, 暑い日。
Hot day. How about difficult name?
Difficult is 難しい。Name is 名前。So, 難しい名前。
Difficult name. So remember, there are two types of adjectives in Japanese. One is
い adjectives.
and the other is.
な adjectives.
And when a noun comes after a na adjective, you need to add
な
before the noun. Okay, on to the next grammar point.
In this section, you'll learn how to say, I like something.
To talk about what you like, you can use the adjective.
好き。
It's an adjective that literally means liked or likable, but has the same meaning as I like in English. One important difference here. In English, like is a verb. In Japanese, it's an adjective.
Yeah, actually, it's a な adjective.
Good point. Let's illustrate with some examples. How do you say I like Japan?
私は日本が好きです。
I like Japan. Let's look at the components.
私は
I and the topic marking particle wa. So, as for me,
日本
Japan,
が
subject or object marker. Here, it's marking the object.
好き
Likeable
です。
is. So literally, for me, Japan is likable. Of course, we translate it as I like Japan.
And remember, the thing you like is marked by the particle が。
So if you like alcohol, you would say
私はお酒が好きです。
I like alcohol. If you like sushi,
私は寿司が好きです。
I like sushi. So the sentence pattern is
私はsuch and such が好きです。
I like something. If it's clear you're talking about yourself, you can drop watashi wa. Next, let's talk about degree of liking or not liking. In the lesson notes, there's a chart, so please take a look at it. Let's go over the sentence patterns. Nami-sensei, how do you say I love something?
We put 大 meaning big in front of 好き。For example, 天ぷらが大好きです。
I love tempura. How do you say you don't like something?
The negative form of 好きです is 好きじゃありません or 好きじゃないです。So, お酒が好きじゃありません or お酒が好きじゃないです。
I don't like alcohol. Okay, that's the negative. But how do you say dislike or hate something?
Dislikable or hated is 嫌い。So, ビールが嫌いです。
I dislike beer. I hate beer. How would you say you really hate something?
In that case, you can put 大 in front of 嫌い。For example, 嘘が大嫌いです。
I hate lies a lot. I really hate lies. So the pattern's the same. When you really hate something, you add dai to the front of kirai. When you really love something, you add dai to the front of
好き。
Okay, let's recap with a quiz. The quiz will be multiple choice. We'll give you a question and 3 possible answers. Your job is to guess the answer. Okay? First question. Which of the following words means alcohol in general? A,
花火、
B,
生、
C.
お酒。
The answer is
C、お酒。
Hanabi is fireworks, and nama means draft beer at a restaurant. Okay, next question. Naomi's going to ask a question in Japanese, so you choose the best answer.
花火が好きですか？
A,
はい、大好きです。
B,
はい、嫌いです。
C.
いいえ、好きです。
The answer is
A、はい、大好きです。Yes, I love it.
Can you read the question again?
Sure. 花火が好きですか？
Do you like fireworks? So the answer should be
はい、大好きです。
yes, I love it. And the other two answers, the sentence didn't match the yes or no, right?
そうですね。
Okay, that concludes this lesson. In the next lesson, Ashley is going to go to a fireworks show with Daisuke and Subaru, and you'll learn how to talk about location in Japanese.
じゃあまた。
Listen to the entire conversation once again.
難しい質問ですね。何が好きですか？甘いお酒が好きですか？
甘いカクテルは好きじゃないです。
じゃあ日本酒は？
任せます。
はいどうぞ。
綺麗なカップ。
ああ、それはおチョコ。
おチョコ変な名前。
ねえねえ、アシュリーちゃんは花火が好き？
花火は何ですか？
ヒュードドンパ
英語でファイアワークだね。
ッそうそう、ファイヤーワーク、ファイヤーワーク。
好きです。大好きです。
本当？明日の夜暇？
Practice with the review track.
難しい、
Difficult.
むずかしい、難しい。質問、
Question.
質問、質問。何、
What?
なに、何。好き、
To like.
好き、好き。甘い、
Sweet.
甘い、甘い。お酒、
Sake. Alcohol.
お酒、お酒。日本酒、
Japanese rice wine.
日本酒、日本酒。きれい、
Beautiful.
きれい、きれい。
Strange. Odd. Eccentric.
変、へん、変。
Fireworks.
花火、はなび、花火。
Love. Really like.
大好き、だいすき、大好き。
Free.
暇、ひま、暇。
Cocktail.
カクテル、かくてる、カクテル。
To leave to someone. To entrust someone with something.
任せます、まかせます、任せます。
cup,
カップ、カップ、カップ。
sake cup,
おちょこ、おちょこ、おちょこ。
Lesson 17.
In the previous lesson, you learned how to say, I like something.
Right. For example, 私は花火が好きです。
I like fireworks. In this lesson, you'll learn how to describe locations and also learn how to say, let's go in Japanese. Now, this lesson's conversation takes place the very next day of the previous episode. If you remember the previous episode, Subaru Suzuki asked if Ashley was free the following night.
Right. He asked, 明日の夜暇? Are you free tomorrow night?
It seems like they're going to a fireworks show the following night. Where does the conversation take place?
道です。
On the street.
But I think Ashley is lost.
So, Ashley calls up Daisuke on his cell phone to ask for directions. That's how the conversation starts. The formality level of this conversation is?
Mixed.
We strongly recommend that you reference lessons 6 and 12 and verb conjugation lesson 10, the volitional form.
.もしもし、アシュリーさん、今どこにいますか？
わかりません。
近くに何がありますか？
本屋と銀行と大きい公園があります。
あ、もしもし、鈴木です。公園の隣に花屋がある？
花屋？ないですよ。
近くにコンビニはある？
はい、あります。私は今、セブンイレブンの前にいます。
セブンイレブンの前。セブンイレブンの左に花屋はない？
ある。あります。
みんな花屋の前にいるよ。
花屋の前？すみません、皆さん。
大丈夫。問題ないですよ。
それは着物ですか？
着物じゃないです。これは浴衣。
浴衣？へえ、かわいいですね。
じゃあ、行きましょ
う。One time slowly.
もしもし、アシュリーさん、今、どこにいますか？
わかりません。
近くに何がありますか？
本屋と銀行と大きい公園があります。
あ、もしもし、鈴木です。公園の隣に花屋がある。
花屋？ないですよ。
近くにコンビニはある。
はい、あります。私は今、セブンイレブンの前にいます。
セブンイレブンの前。セブンイレブンの左に花屋はない。
ある、あります。
みんな花屋の前にいるよ。
花屋の前？すみません。皆さん。
大丈夫。問題ないですよ。
それは着物ですか？
着物じゃないです。これは浴衣。
浴衣。へえ、かわいいですね。
じゃあ、行きましょう。
Now with the English translation.
もしもし、アシュリーさん、今どこにいますか？
Hello? Ashley, where are you now?
わかりません。
I don't know.
近くに何がありますか？
What's nearby?
本屋と銀行と大きい公園があります。
There's a bookstore and a bank and a big park.
あ、もしもし、鈴木です。
Oh, hi, it's Suzuki.
公園の隣に花屋がある？
Is there a flower shop next to the park?
花屋？ないですよ。
Flower shop? No, there isn't.
近くにコンビニはある？
Is there a convenience store nearby?
はい、あります。
Yes, there is.
私は今、セブンイレブンの前にいます。
Right now, I'm in front of 7-Eleven.
セブンイレブンの前。セブンイレブンの左に花屋はない？
In front of 7-Eleven? Isn't there a flower shop to the left of it?
ある。あります。
Oh, yes, there is.
みんな花屋の前にいるよ。
We're all in front of the flower shop.
花屋の前？すみません、
In front of the flower shop? Oh, I'm so sorry, everyone.
大丈夫。問題ないですよ。
It's okay, no problem.
皆さん。それは着物ですか？
Wow, is that a kimono?
着物じゃないです。これは浴衣。
It's not a kimono. This is a yukata.
浴衣？へえ、かわいいですね。
Yukata? Wow, it's cute.
じゃあ、行きましょう。
Well then, let's go.
ピーターさんは花火が好きですか？
はい。とても好きです。Yeah, I really like it.
Have you ever been to a fireworks event in Japan?
Yes, and there's two ways to view them. One is going to the event,
うん。
and two is watching from a distance.
Three is watch on TV.
That's also true. I kind of like watching from a rooftop. If your friend has a very nice apartment
Oh, okay.
and they have the rooftop patios, it's a really, really nice place to watch from. If you go to the event, they're amazing. However, going home is really rough
Yeah. The train station is awfully crowded.
because tens of thousands of people gather for these events,
そうですね。
for the big ones. Naomi-sensei, in the previous lesson, you said that a lot of fireworks shows are held during the summer. Is that throughout Japan?
Yes. Japan's three biggest fireworks events are Omagari Fireworks Competition in Akita, the Tsuura Fireworks Competition in Ibaraki, and the Nagaoka Firework Event in Niigata.
The closest one to Tokyo is, of course,
Tsuura in Ibaraki.
Naomi-sensei, didn't you say you went to the one in Tsuchiura?
Yes, I did. They had the best fireworks show I've ever seen. It was absolutely fantastic.
There's one more thing I'd like to mention. In the dialogue, it seems like Rei Mitsuoka was wearing a yukata.
そうですね. Right. Yukata is a cotton kimono. It's originally a bathrobe.
That's not surprising, because if you look at the kanji, the first kanji means to bathe, and the second kanji means clothes. So, bath clothes.
そうそうそう.
Naomi-sensei, do people wear yukata very often in their daily life?
Not very often. Some people wear them to festivals or fireworks event during summer, but those are the only occasions I can think of.
There's actually one more I can think of. A Japanese ryokan, or Japanese inns.
そうですね. That's true.
People wear yukata at ryokan.
They use them as pajamas.
So usually you go into the onsen, the hot spring, and you come out, put on your yukata, go to eat dinner, go to bed.
そうそうそう.
Okay, on to the vocabulary. First word.
大きい、
Big.
大きい、大きい、
Next.
みんな、
Everyone.
みんな、みんな、
Next.
問題、
Problem.
問題、問題、
Next.
着物、
kimono,
着物、着物、
Next.
かわいい、
cute, pretty.
かわいい、かわいい。
Let's have a closer look at the usage for some of the words and phrases from this lesson. Naomi-sensei, what's the first phrase we'll look at?
もしもし。
This is the first thing Daisuke Honda said on the phone.
そうですね。もしもし。
Hello? In this context, it's limited to a phone greeting. Hello, are you there?
I've heard もしもし is from the verb 申す to say in humble language.
So originally, I'm humbly talking to you.
そうですね。
Interesting. Now, in the conversation, there's a lot of places, so let's go over them.
The first place is 本屋。
Bookstore. Hon is book. Ya is shop or store. So, honya is bookstore. Naomi-sensei, can you say it again slowly?
ほんや。本屋。
Next word is
花屋。
flower shop or florist.
花 is flower. 屋 is shop. So, 花屋 flower shop.
Next word is
銀行。
bank. There's a long O vowel at the end, so be careful.
銀行。
Next word,
公園。
park. The first syllable has a long O.
そうですね。公園。
Next word.
コンビニ。
Now, this is an abbreviation meaning convenience store.
Right. コンビニエンスストア。
That's the full version, and we covered in the lesson notes where we have a list of names of places. So please check that out. Next, let's go over words that indicate location. First,
隣。
next to, next door, neighbor.
For example, 公園の隣 is
Next to the park. Now, when talking about location, usually we mention a landmark first. Add the particle no, and then the word that indicates location.
公園
Park,
の
possessive, s or of.
隣。
Next door. So,
公園の隣。
literally means next door of the park, next to the park in natural English.
So, 本屋の隣 would be
Next to the bookstore. Next positional word,
前。
front, in front of.
So, コンビニの前。
Literally, convenience store's front. Of course, it means in front of the convenience store. Next,
左。
left, as in the opposite of right.
本屋の左。
Literally, bookstore's left, or left of the bookstore. Of course, it means to the left of the bookstore. Next word,
近く。
near, nearby.
So, 公園の近く would be
Literally, parks nearby, near the park. In the conversation, Daisuke said,
近くに何がありますか
what's nearby? Let's break down the sentence.
近く
Near,
に
particle indicating location.
何
What?
が
Subject marker.
あります
To exist?
か
Question marking particle. So literally,
近くに
nearby?
何がありますか
What exists? What's nearby? What is there nearby?
The dictionary form of あります is ある So, in an informal situation, that sentence would be 近くに何がある
On to the grammar section. In this lesson, you'll learn two things. One, how to give detailed locations using the verbs to exist, arimasu and imasu. Second, how to make a suggestion with mashou, the polite form of the volitional, meaning let's do something.
Let's review the verbs あります and います first.
Now, as we learned in lesson 6, arimasu and imasu are both verbs that express to be, to exist, to be located, or to have. Arimasu is used for inanimate things,
Such as buildings and plants,
where the verb imasu is used for animate things.
such as people and animals.
Now, the thing that exists is usually marked by the particle ga. Naomi-sensei, how do you say there is a park?
Park is 公園 So, 公園があります
There's a park. A park exists. A park is inanimate. So you have to use arimasu. Now, for animate things, how do you say there's a customer?
customer is お客さん. So, お客さんがいます.
There's a customer. A customer exists. A customer is animate, so you have to use imasu. In English, there's a park, there's a customer. We use the same there is, the same verb is to be. But in Japanese, you have two different words for animate and inanimate objects. So in formal speech,
あります is for inanimate and います is for animate.
we also have to take into account the politeness level. So we were just covering polite Japanese. In informal speech, inanimate is,
ある
animate is.
いる
So we covered the formal and informal. Now, let's go over the affirmative and negative forms of arimasu. Again, the polite. Naomi-sensei, can you say there's a park again?
Using formal speech, 公園があります
And how about the negative using formal speech?
公園がありません
A park doesn't exist. There isn't a park. How about using informal speech? First alternative, there is a park, using informal speech.
公園がある
How about the negative?
公園がない
It's a new phrase. Nai means doesn't exist.
So, 時間がない means
Time doesn't exist. I don't have time. There isn't time.
お金 means money. So, お金がない means
Money doesn't exist. Literally, I don't have money. There isn't any money. Next, let's learn how to describe the location of something in relation to a landmark.
For example, 本屋の隣に花屋があります
There's a flower shop next to the bookstore.
本屋の隣
Next to the bookstore.
に
A particle indicating location. Depending on context, it corresponds to the English in, at, or on.
花屋があります
Flower shop exists. There's a flower shop. So one time all together.
本屋の隣に花屋があります
Literally, next to the bookstore, there's a flower shop. Or, there's a flower shop next to the bookstore. Now, in the conversation we have,
私は今セブンイレブンの前にいます
I'm in front of the 7-Eleven now. Let's break down the sentence.
私は
As for me, or me,
今
now,
セブンイレブンの前
in front of 7-Eleven.
に
Particle that indicates location,
います
to exist. So, put it all together.
私は今セブンイレブンの前にいます
Now in front of 7-Eleven, am. Of course, it means I'm in front of 7-Eleven now. Okay, on to the next grammar point.
How to make a suggestion with ましょう like 行きましょう
Let's go. At the end of the dialogue, Daisuke suggests that they go, or they head out, using
行きましょう
Now, this masho is known as the volitional form. In plain English, it's the let's, as in let's go. Let's eat. It's that let's part, and is used to politely suggest, propose, or invite. Now, to make the volitional, we start with a verb in the mas form, referenced lesson 14. Take away the mas and replace it with.
ましょう
Let's illustrate this with an example. Naomi-sensei, how do you say to go?
行く
Now, that's the dictionary form. What's the corresponding mas form?
行きます
Now we're going to drop the mas, and we get?
行き
This is the so-called mas stem. Basically, it's a Japanese verb without the polite mas. So one more time, iku becomes,
行きます
then we drop the mas to get the mas stem, which is,
行き
then we attach,
ましょう
let's go.
行きましょ
Let's try a few more. Naomi-sensei, how do you say to drink?
う飲む
The corresponding mas form is?
飲みます
Let's drop the mas to get the mas stem.
飲み
Now we attach, masho,
飲みましょ
let's drink. This is an extremely important grammar point. Be sure to reference the lesson notes. Okay, let's recap with a quiz. The quiz will be multiple choice. We'll give you a question and 3 possible answers. Your job is to guess the answer, okay? First question. Which of the following phrases is hello on the phone? A,
うもしもし
B,
と申します
C,
もう一度
The answer is?
A. もしもし Hello.
Next question. Which of the following means let's go? A,
行く
B,
行きます
C?
行きましょう
The answer is?
C. 行きましょう
That concludes this lesson. In the next lesson, Ashley is going to receive an interesting present from Subaru, and you'll learn more about formal and informal speech.
じゃあまた
Listen to the entire conversation once again.
もしもし、アシュリーさん、今どこにいますか？
わかりません。
近くに何がありますか？
本屋と銀行と大きい公園があります。
あ、もしもし、鈴木です。公園の隣に花屋がある？
花屋？ないですよ。
近くにコンビニはある？
はい、あります。私は今、セブンイレブンの前にいます。
セブンイレブンの前。セブンイレブンの左に花屋はない？
あります。
みんな花屋の前にいるよ。
花屋の前？すみません、皆さん。
大丈夫。問題ないですよ。
それは着物ですか？
着物じゃないです。これは浴衣。
浴衣？へえ、かわいいですね。
じゃあ、行きましょう。
Practice with the review track.
います。
To be, to exist.
います。います。いる。
To be, to exist.
いる。いる。近く。
Near.
近く。近く。本屋。
Bookstore.
本屋。本屋。銀行。
Bank.
銀行。銀行。大きい。
Big.
大きい。大きい。公園。
Park.
公園。公園。隣。
Next to, next door.
隣。隣。コンビニ。
Convenience store.
コンビニ。コンビニ。
Before, in front.
前。前。前。
Left.
左。左。左。
Everyone.
みんな。みんな。みんな。
Problem.
問題。問題。問題。
Kimono.
着物。着物。着物。
Light cotton kimono.
浴衣。浴衣。浴衣。
Cute, pretty.
かわいい。かわいい。 かわいい。
Flower shop, florist.
花屋。花屋。花屋。
7-Eleven, convenience store.
セブンイレブン。セブンイレブン。セブンイレブン。
This audiobook has been broken into multiple parts to make the download faster. You have reached the end of a part, but not the end of the complete audiobook. So please check your library for the next part of this audiobook.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.